This is the Amp Hour Podcast, released December 8th, 2019. Episode 470. Just add salt.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEvie blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's up, nerd?
Not much, nerd. How you doing?
All right. Busy. It's coming towards Christmas. I hate how everything sort of just...
Yeah, it just piles in, and then you always go on holiday too, so you're like ready to bounce out of town.
Well, I'm in holiday in January, so,
yeah, right,
you know.
I just mean like it goes like holiday, like the actual like Christmas holiday, and then you bounce out of town, so you've got like a solid couple weeks there where it's like you got to get everything done beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought about like doing arranging a couple of other site tour videos, but I went, it's bloody, what is it? Oh, the 6th of December now.
Yeah.
So it's like, by the time I organise those, companies are shutting down and people are going on holidays.
Right.
Bugger it.
Well,
it's a wonder how the world still functions,
Well, some of us do a little, but the U.S. doesn't really take many holidays. So.
Right, okay.
But, I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, with vacations and things like that.
Yeah, well, here, companies start shutting down, the mid-December,
really?
Towards
Wow.
Christmas. Oh, yeah, people start taking holidays and stuff. So if you do want to, go to a company and, interview people and stuff like that, it's highly likely that they're on holidays.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of companies that don't come back until mid-January, something like that. So it's
Man.
some companies it's almost a month really that they're effectively winding down. Might have a skeleton crew, but yeah.
I'm I wonder about that too, because last year was my first holiday of my consulting life, and
right.
My January completely everything dried up. I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I had nothing to do. I mean, I was really freaking out. And I'm sure some of it is tied to I had one project ending, and then it was everyone was on vacation or holiday, and they're, you can't get stuff started at that point. And so this year I have a plan, which means it's almost guaranteed I will be busier than hell. But,
right.
Actually a product that I'll work on for myself. And then,
oh, okay. So it's your own product, so you're not reliant on client products.
You're not even, I mean, just from psychologically, I'm just, it's, I don't want to be sitting there twiddling my thumbs being like, what do I do?
Right.
And just to have something to do. It's psychologically pretty important for me to be like, oh, no, this is the project time that I'm working on it. So
you do realize that you don't have to work on projects. You don't have to do electronics. Yeah. There's more to life than that.
Yeah, but I mean, when my income is dependent upon it, I
Right.
just get nervous, Dave. I'm just kind of a worrier. So.
Yeah, but income's not coming from your own product that you're working on.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I could go home and relax and whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You never know what happens.
Well, true. The interesting thing about your own products is that, you don't earn any income until that product's finished and shipping.
Yeah.
And even, so you can sink a year's worth of, labor into something into a decent project and nothing to show for it.
I would normally agree with you, but the thing that I'm planning on working on is going to be not necessarily a product, but it's a reference design that I'm going to be working on. And then I can use that as marketing and, maybe make some...
Right, so guaranteed zero income.
Yeah, pretty much. But no,
right,
I mean, reusable. So that's kind of the weird thing too. If I have a client that's like, hey, can you make this thing for me? It's yeah, sure, of course. And I design the whole thing for them and whatever. And I can't reuse that work again, pretty much. I can't, at least not in practice. And so if I have reference design though, that not only helps bring people to me, but then also I can use that as the basis for future, products and stuff like that. So
Sure.
I'm just talking around, and you're totally right. I'm not going to make any money from this. I'm just trying to just justify it to my own brain here, Dave.
That's fine. Whatever gets you through the night.
Exactly right. Yeah. I don't know. What would I do if I wasn't working on electronics?
Do you have any other hobbies?
I was thinking about that lately. I have not been playing the piano. I play the piano, but I haven't done it in a couple months now. So, do you have other hobbies?
Of course I do.
What do you got?
I can
Working
go
out?
canyoning.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no,
When's the last time you did that?
I can go outdoors. March, I think.
So you basically have a little hobby like I have a hobby in that way, yeah.
Yeah,
You go to
mine is
canyons, I plunk on keys.
that one there's a seasonal hobby.
Oh, true.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And it's got, I've got a family as well, you know. You
Sure,
go out
sure.
with the family and
Dave,
play,
I'm not,
with the kids.
Not throwing shade. Yeah.
Yep. In fact, that takes up most of my time,
Totally.
Most of my spare time is, Yeah, it's so much so that, I'm trying to organise it. I want to organise a canyoning trip at the moment because it's just turned summer, of course, here. Winter over there for you weirdos.
Yep.
And because it's a summer sport. So I thought, look, I'm going to organise a canyon trip with some friends. And it's like, I'm thinking about, when the hell can I do it?
Right.
Like every Saturday is like,
Oh, yeah.
is like booked up.
Yeah.
You got kids' sports and you got other family, family commitments and stuff.
Sure.
It's like, I'll do a night canyoning trip. That'll be, Yeah, seriously, I'll just go at night. Yeah. Yep.
That's great.
So that's the only time we can, that everyone's sort of available. Everyone's finished work and nobody has any commitments on the, they've all got commitments on the weekend and stuff like that. So, yeah, heck, I always do a night trip, I think.
Yeah. I feel the pull of it. I mean, obviously I'm not in the same scenario of you, but I see my friends also, they got kids and, their hobby projects fall off, the other projects fall off. It's just work and then family. Which is great. I mean, the family part's great. But it's interesting, like being like having a list of all these things I want to design. It's like, better hurry up there, Chris.
Wah, wah.
I do have a new project that I am going to be working on. I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I ended up I bought the boat anchor, Dave. I mentioned it 2 weeks ago.
And I didn't see that you actually bought it.
I pulled the trigger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I got a HP 8753D. It was built before I was in high school. I still paid thousands of dollars for it.
Where is the photo? Where's the photo or pic, or it didn't happen?
Oh, it's on Twitter. I will
is it?
definitely share it in the show notes as well.
Oh, okay. It's got a stupid Instagram link or something, has it? That's probably why it didn't automatically show up. No?
No, I don't do Instagram anymore.
Okay. No, I didn't see a photo of a vintage scope pop up from you.
A VNA, not a scope, but...
Oh, well, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
no.
But yeah. And then what I've quickly learned is that I need to buy a bunch of other stuff too, of course. Got to buy a cow kit and got to buy converters and cables and this is not a cheap hobby, so...
You're really into this RF stuff, aren't you?
Well, it's, so I gave a talk about it again, and I think I mentioned it last week too, but it's like having the piece of test equipment really, really opens, whereas it was all theoretical and like hard to grasp, like having hands-on with the test equipment and like seeing what happens as you change things and, modify things, something about that. I don't know. It just really changes your perspective on things. And I realize it's like this is a really expensive piece of gear versus, but you don't have to get the most expensive gear. I just got it more expensive because of the frequency range I wanted to play in. And, but just being able to like understand it because of that, I've talked about the SDRs in the past and how like seeing the spectrum come in and, seeing waterfall plots and things like that. It's just in terms of like intuitive grasp of like how, and like mental models that you build, I can't believe how much that matters. And I wish it would have been part of my education sooner. Yeah,
definitely. You're going to have to swap out that 3.5-inch floppy for one of those new USB.
No way, man. I'm gonna have because it's vintage, like some floppy drives.
So you're actually going to get a USB 3.5-inch drive for your computer, and then just get some old discs and copy over the bitmap file, because none of this PNG rubbish didn't exist. Right. When
I'll be like like in Hackers when they're like passing discs back and forth between
Right,
them.
yeah. They're doing the hacking battle, and all they had was the tools that fits on one floppy
That's right.
disk.
That's right. They're like holding it up to the camera and stuff. Oh man.
Yep.
Classic movie. Love it.
Crash Override
Yeah, man.
is the character. Yeah. Anyway, love it.
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie is a hacker. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So so this thing comes in I think next Monday, and I'll get to start playing around with it.
Oh, you haven't even got it yet.
No,
Oh,
it's
so the
shipping,
photos from the eBay ad, is it?
That's right. Yep.
Right. Got it.
Yeah.
Did you buy it from a dealer?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. 90-day warranty and that whole thing. So,
Oh, okay. Yep.
yeah. I was a little nervous about it. I mean, even though I know that like it's going to be fine, you know, like I was thinking about it, like this is actually the first time I've bought serious test gear in like ever, maybe since my first
Right.
rifle, which you could say is like
Right.
not, that serious of test gear.
It's not
You know?
high end. Yeah, it's not in the $1,000 category.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
don't
in
think
the
I've paid
four digits.
$1,000 for test gear. Now I have been very, very lucky. You know, I worked at Keithley. I got to like repair and take home stuff, and then we've been very lucky that people have donated stuff to us. You obviously more than me, but I still get some stuff, and it's been very, very useful and nice. But yeah, I've never done an outlay like this. I mean, you've done this for years, I'm guessing, right? I mean, not recently, but
Not personally. Like I can't remember the last time I paid 4 digits for a bit of test gear. So yeah, I'm almost in the same camp, really.
oh, really? Okay, that's interesting.
For work, obviously, you know.
Sure, yeah,
Done it
and that's the
countless
thing.
times.
Yeah. And so I think about like Shahryar, you know, like he buys a lot of broken stuff and fixes it, but I think it's still in that category. I think it's just this like upper echelon.
I think some of the stuff he buys broken is thousands of dollars broken.
Yeah. Right.
Right? It's like, don't think he's getting these for, don't think he's getting a $50,000 bit of kit for $100 broken.
Right,
no,
right, exactly.
I search for these on eBay myself, so I can do repair videos. I can tell you they're thousands of dollars for a broken one.
Yeah.
So it's like, so unless he's getting it some other, auction, or, some other auction place, which in the US is possible. Like, there's tons of auction places in the US, and you can get really good gear. In fact, if you were following along on the forum, you probably could have got a VNA for cheaper, perhaps, at an auction, because they're always closing down there. But it's, harder, and you've got to arrange the shipping, and you've got to, it's not verified, and it's, of course.
Yeah, I think that is. So
More of a gamble,
I've never done, and, so all of our listeners out there who are doing this, like, bravo to you. I mean, like, there are some people that are, like, working on things that they need high-end gear, and I think that's the other thing, too, is, like, for a long time, I didn't really need the high, it's arguable I don't need this now, but, like, the higher-end gear, like, it's just... It's good to wait until you actually need it, I always talk about, like, I'm glad that the first guitar I ever bought was a piece of crap, because then when I got a better guitar, I really appreciated it. I never went to, like, the super high-end guitar, but I sure as hell did not need it. But some people start with, like, a $5,000 Les Paul.
Yeah,
and it's
I know. I don't understand.
And then they get frustrated when it sounds bad, and the reason it sounds bad is because you're bad.
They suck.
Everybody starts bad, and it's better to start with the piece of crap, I think.
Yep, totally agree. That's why I've always done my review video. Often my review videos are based on, or shootouts are based on a price point. It's like,
I do like
here's
that,
the best multimeter for $50 or $100. Here's the how to set up a lab for $300. It's because it's like there's no need to spend oodles of money.
Right.
For stuff like that.
Well, and it all adds up too. Like thinking about the cal kit that I'm getting for this is like a used cal kit, and it's still a few hundred bucks. $400 or so, and that's used.
I've seen them.
I saw one on eBay that was like a really high end calibrated one is $1,800. And it's like,
used.
holy crap.
Yeah.
That's, and I was thinking about that's why they always come in wooden boxes.
Because of course.
If they just showed up in a baggie, if they showed up in like a baggie and like,
it doesn't instill confidence. No,
it's just you need value. You need some kind of like indicator of value, and it's a nicely polished wooden box with the nice foam cutouts inside, and open it up like the Ark of the Covenant.
I was just looking like a couple of weeks back at standard capacitors, because I've got one here, and I was just looking for how much they go for on eBay now. It's like one standard capacitor that's literally 60 years old, right? Wow. 60-year-old capacitor they sell for like, $50, $100 a pop, and the whole kit in the wooden box is thousands of dollars.
Wow.
For these 60-year-old capacitors, 50, 60-year-old capacitors.
And that would be used on like a LCR meter or something, or what would you use that
They're
for?
a standard. They're a transfer standard for LCR meter calibration, and yeah. But they're 50 years old, and they're still thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Anyway, test gear.
Yeah.
It's a sickness.
It is.
You should join the Test Gear Anonymous thread on the EEvie blog forum. It's like 500 pages long or something, and all they do is talk about their addiction to test gear.
Hello, my name is Chris, and I have a problem.
And I have a new VNA. It's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Boy.
There's actually someone had turned me on to a mailing list for HP, just like old HP gear. And so you'll just get, so it's HP Agilent Keysight Equipment at groups.io. I'll link that as well. But it's kind of cool. It's like you see like a bunch of people that are trying to repair stuff, and it's usually pretty out there. It's
out there in what way?
Out there in that, like, it's like, oh, well, hey, the capacitor 302 in my HP 1234
oh, right,
is
it's very specific.
broken. Yeah. And it's like, but like, there's enough people that are just kind of lurking on there that are like, oh, well, I have an HP 1234. I can at least go measure it for you or something similar. And it's just very disparate. It's not enough where it's like, oh, this is just the 8753 owners or whatever. But this is just a lot of, it's pretty intense. So, and it's, a couple emails a day. Interesting to see what comes through. I'll link
it's an
that
email list.
Yeah, it's an email list. Yeah. Do you know of, I remember you've talked about sci.electronics.australia in the past, right? Or something like that.
So, there's Sci Electronics Design and there's Oz Electronics. There are Usenet groups, and they're not email lists. They're Usenet groups, which is different. Whereas Yahoo groups, I founded and ran the Oz Electronics Yahoo group.
Okay.
So that was a thing, but it eventually died out when because Yahoo groups were huge at the time, and I was on a Canyon in Yahoo.
That makes sense.
Email, and you'd get and it was a great way to operate because you would read everyone's response. It'd come in as an email, then you'd just simply reply to it.
Right.
And I was the number one poster on the Oz Canyoning forum. You know.
Yeah,
10,000 posts.
And I kind of like that idea. Like, in the age of Slack and Discord and all these goddamn chat clients that are out there, I just can't keep track of any of them.
Right.
And I'm always watching my email, and it's just
of course. Yeah.
Thinking about this kind of thing.
Yep.
Sometimes there's garbage that comes through. There's people that are flaming and all the usual internet-y type stuff. But at the same time, like, I do not want to be on chat client. Like, we've thought about it. We thought about, should we have like an amp hour Slack or Discord or something like that? Or we did have a IRC at one point. And it's just like, man, you can't keep track of it.
We would have to go over there and hang out on that. And I have no other reason to be out over there and hang out, apart from that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, IRC will be around past, it's in the cockroaches and Twinkies category of the internet. It's going to be around forever, but like, I just can't, I can't do it. Like, I'm either all in or I can't switch my attention like that.
I'm on a couple of forums, like as in the original BBS type forums, of course, my own EEvie blog forum, of course, primarily. Yeah. But, I'm on a couple of others, which a couple I visit, daily or every couple of days or something like that. I sort of like have a tab open, and people always complain that I leave my tabs open. It's because, it just allows me to go there easily.
Yeah, you're browsing at that point,
and then I search for new posts. It only takes me, a few seconds. I go to the tab, hit the search for new posts, and it lists all the new posts since I last checked.
Yep.
And then I just scroll through the headers and go, nah. Oh yeah, that one sounds interesting. I'll go check that out.
Right.
That thread out. So
yeah, it's just not part of my I love Discourse, which is how I run the KiCad forum, and then the my contextual electronics forum, and I have to turn on mailing list mode, or else I won't learn about anything.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I find like Discord and other ones like they're just not the same. They just don't operate. They just don't give me the flexibility to operate in the same way
asynchronous
as a good forum does. So
no, I agree. I guess we're just old, Dave. We're just old.
I don't know.
All the kids in
I
their
just
TikTok.
Efficiency. And yeah, I just watched a video the other day about how huge TikTok is. I had no idea.
I mean,
holy crap.
I still sometimes watch, what was that 6-second video site that was, it used to be Vine, Vine.co.
Oh, Vine.
Oh,
Vine.
man.
Didn't that die?
It did die. It got like bought
Right.
and then like absorbed.
Yeah,
but there's
right.
still like compilations on YouTube. And like,
Oh, okay.
the thing I love
Yep.
about those services, like, I'm never going to be on them. I just, whatever. They're like very memey and whatever, but like, there's like some really funny people, like they're creative and funny and it's in short bursts and like, it's a huge waste of time, but like, people are humans and, so I hear you young folks,
They want to be entertained,
that's right.
by
Yeah,
mindless drivel,
by one another, and that's great. Yeah. So I'm not against it. I just can't operate like that, unfortunately. I feel
I've got a segue.
Yeah,
I've got a good
do it.
segue.
Go for it.
As from what is it, 7 seconds, or 20 second,
20
just
seconds on
drivel,
TikTok, I think. Yeah.
drivel to the most highly produced content I've ever seen
yes.
behind Captain Disillusion. I mean, this is Captain Disillusion level content production.
Okay, keep going. I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
Yep. This is YouTube channel. I don't know how long it's been. I think it's been going for a year or something. But anyway, Teddy is the guy who runs it. I won't say his last name because I don't know if he's fully out yet in terms of his, his last name and stuff. Anyway, Teddy for the channel Branch Education on YouTube. We'll link it in down below. And he just did a video on how do PCBs work. And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He actually emailed me about this. I've been talking to him. And I said, holy shit, this is fantastic. It's the most highly produced content I've ever seen in my life. And it's basically, I'll explain what it is. It's a 10-minute video explaining how PCBs work. He uses a mobile phone, a smartphone as an example. And he literally... he takes it apart, he photographs it, animates it, he even desoldered each individual component and animated those, and he x-rayed the boards, and it's just this marvelous 3D animated info thing of how PCBs are put together and how the traces, and he the animation's just brilliant. Just go and watch it.
It's really good. And bookmark it to send to other people when you're at the Christmas holidays and your grandparents are like, wait, what did you do again? Just send them that video.
just send them that video and say, I work on stuff like this.
Yeah,
this is what I do. I do PCBs.
Yeah, because it's engaging too, and it's interesting how it's put together.
It's engaging and it's so highly polished content. And I told him that. I said, look, I'd be stunned if this was less than 50 hours work to actually produce this one 10-minute video. And he went, you're not wrong. It was 130 hours.
Oh, my God.
of work to produce the one video.
That's crazy.
It's just nuts. Sorry, 115 hours, 115. His average video takes about 90 hours work to actually produce.
Whew.
This is it's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Does he have kids?
I don't know. I don't know, but oh wow,
That's crazy.
Well done,
that's
Teddy.
great.
It's
that's
just
great.
yeah. Anyway, go and subscribe to Branch Engineering.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. He's got how cameras work and stuff like that. And I was mentioning this the other day, the young, the kiddies out there, right? What are they watching? TikTok. Well, last night with Sagan, I was watching this video, how do PCBs work. Sagan loved it.
Oh, really?
Great. It's really educational.
He's got the knack, Dave. He's got the knack.
I know. Yeah. Science. Yep. Yep. the doctor's office, the knee
That's
tapping.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. He's got the knack.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Dilbert.
And it's brilliant. And his other ones, he's getting more polished as he goes, because his ones from a year ago aren't quite as polished. Still absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm. But this new one has just stepped it up a level. Wow. To go to the effort to desolder every single component and then X-ray and then photograph them properly and then 3D animate them. Yeah. Is just insane. Yep. Wow. Whereas my slap together videos,
you have been traveling. I know you traveled previously, but you went to the that airplane simulator. That thing was
I
awesome.
traveled. I jumped in my car and drove for 45 minutes. Yep.
Oh, I thought it was out of town. Okay, so it was just it was in town.
No. It's on the other side of Sydney, and
okay.
if you've kind of driven from one side of Sydney to the other, and it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
And it's not great getting from one side to the other.
Yeah, it's big city stuff. Chicago too.
It's
like
here
that.
in Sydney.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
LA, places like that.
Right. Sprawly type things. Yeah.
And if you go during peak hour, you are screwed.
That's right.
Like,
yes. Well, that's what I'm sure that some of our listeners right now are in their car, honking their horns at the traffic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great though. Like that. I mean, like just the amount of connections that they're dealing with. So I was skipping through a little bit of this simulator video, and I do recommend. There's a couple videos too. So there's one EEvie Discover video, and then 2 simulator videos
on the main channel.
Yeah.
One's just talking about the hardware, the I/O hardware solution that he developed to interface with the real 747 cockpit, all the controls and actuators and things on there.
I wish you could have talked to, or wish we could talk to someone who's like at Boeing and like hearing like, because I remember the one thing that the guy was talking about was like how the wiper blades have like special engineering and stuff like that, but just like understanding what the teams look like. Like, so how many people are on a team that do the windshield wipers for a aircraft like that? And
there'd be half a dozen people on a team that just do the windscreen wipers.
And like they're carrying years and years and years of technical load with them too, right? That 747's been made for, I don't know. They're not making it anymore, right? They're done making them, but
no, they're still. I think they're still making a variant of it.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. But
which is nuts, and it's still basically the same airframe as the 1950s.
Yeah.
Late 60s
50s
or whatever.
Yeah, that was later than that. Yeah. But it's the Queen of the Skies, whatever I think United called it that, and it's just it's amazing longevity. But like there's been probably tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of engineers that are like worked on it over its lifespan. Because there's also maintenance and maintaining engineering and stuff like that, and and now he's taking it on to try and like interface with all this stuff. It's like, ooh, yeah, powers teams. Like there's a lot of money bundled in there too.
There's a ton of money, ton of time. I mean, it takes years and years to develop something like this. They've been working on it for years, and then they'll be refining it for years.
Wire harnesses and like, God. Yeah, testing and just looking at that.
That's just to interface it to the flight simulator software.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And then they have to get the flight simulator software guy who writes that to add all these functions which it never had before.
Yeah.
We need this, windscreen wiper bulb to come on when we flip he's got to modify his flight simulator software to do that.
One bit of software difference, right?
Yeah, exactly. But still, it has to be added.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's nuts.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how, it's in the video too, how one guy has been writing this 747 simulator software for like 20 years.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just nuts.
That's a dedication to your craft, I'd say,
Yep. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I've been in firmware mode lately, and it's been a fun reintroduction into that space. Yeah.
Why? What's failed?
Oh, just
my spidey sense tells me you've come a gutser.
Not a gutser, but like I've just been writing. I've been doing a lot of like onesie twosie type stuff in the past, and now this is like no. I'm like writing drivers and sitting down and like writing firmware for days at a time is kind of new,
right?
And different. Not new, but different for me. I haven't done it in a while, and exploring new chipsets and like when that like you really get to know a data sheet or a reference manual, I guess. I'm like halfway there. Yeah.
Got it. And it's all in plain vanilla C?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little...
Using the vendor tools, as opposed to my hour-long video that I did with David. Did we talk about that last time?
I don't think we did. Yeah, that came out right after we had taled, I think. So that was on...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we had talked about about the Great Scott video about the USB-C, or maybe it was around the same time.
Yeah, no, we talked about USB power delivery, but we didn't talk about the actual video of us setting up the software development system.
Back and forth,
It's an hour-long video and the comments. Wow.
Yeah.
And the video got spread around to many different communities, like the software community and stuff like that, apparently.
Oh, yeah?
And everyone's just rolling their eyes and, yep.
What about it?
Some people understand the reasoning. Well, basically, right, it's an hour-long video for those who haven't seen it. It's us setting up Windows, on my Windows machine here, setting up all of the development tools required to do the firmware, to compile the firmware for my new micro supply project. So it's a power supply, right? It's a power supply with a micro. Okay, it's got 2 micros, and yes, it's got USB power delivery and all that sort of blah, blah. But really, it's just an ST-ARM micro. That's it.
Right.
So ordinarily, most people, including myself, would just download the ST-ARM Cube software. That's what they call their development software, and that's it, right? That's all you need. And then you just use plain vanilla C, and it comes with the GCC compiler already. Everything's just set up. You just install that, and you start typing your C code, and you compile, and it works. Right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. Well, that's it, right? If the vendor tools don't do that, then you shouldn't be using their chips, right? Quite frankly.
Well,
right? If their tools suck that bad, you probably shouldn't be using them.
I have like a discount factor for so yes, I agree if you're doing it on Windows, yes, it should just install and work. If you're like, hey, I should use the IDE in Linux, I'll give you a couple extra hours, Is it their problem? Am I the problem?
Right?
Yeah,
everyone else complained that all this shit that we did in an hour, installing Ninja and Doxygen and all sorts of different things that we installed, right, to make this thing work. And Microsoft Visual Studio Code and all that sort of jazz, right? And all the plugins for that. There were like half a dozen different things we had to install. Everyone said, I could have done that in a minute on Linux.
I disagree with that. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's what everyone's saying. Holy shit, it's Windows' problem. It's a problem with Windows. But it's not just that, There's no different, don't worry about the difference between Windows and Linux here. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is the complexity of the software environment. Because David actually started using the ST-ARM Cube software, but I think he changed because he writes in C++, right? And he does everything like really high-end software. Even for a little power supply, he's going to do the software as if it's
Let's just say he gilds the lily.
he gilds the lily, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because this is a guy that writes game engines in his spare time, right? I mean, right? He's a serious software dude, right? So that's just what he's used to doing. And so it's all written in C++, and it all uses the proper classes and everything else, and it all, so he's got this convoluted, which to me, and to maybe a general firmware engineer out there, is like a really convoluted software environment to get this thing working. Mm-hmm. I mean, not to any real firmware engineer, I guess, who, probably has a similar system, but... Anyway, and he was finding bugs in this GCC compiler and stuff like that because he was pushing it so far using all this exotic C++ stuff, right, that he was finding, all these issues that he went, bugger this, I'm going back to what I know, which is, the proper, GCC on its own plus Microsoft Visual Studio Code plus Ninja plugin and all these make plugins to generate all these make files and build all this, this complex build environment and stuff like that. And that's what he's used to. So to him, it's trivial. But to someone else watching that video, it's like, you roll your eyes and go,
I think that's a good point, though. Even what you're just saying, because of David's workflow, you guys moved outside of what an ST expects and what I think a lot of the viewers expect. And at that point, you're kind of out in the wide open, you're on your own, and there are some benefits to that sometimes, but sometimes there's also pitfalls. And
right. Yeah. It's not like you can go on the ST-ARM forum and going, look, it's failing. Mm-hmm. Help us, please. ST. Right. It's like, no, they're going to throw their arms up when you're using your own. Right.
Right. So some of the stuff I've been doing. When I was doing I guess I'm still kind of doing a little bit, but the STM32 stuff I had been doing. The F0, I was using I was in a very similar mode to David, where it's I don't want to use just the off-the-shelf stuff. I didn't want to use the IDE. I wanted to learn, how to use GCC. I wanted to, use GDB and GDB server and stuff like that. And
why? What was the drive behind that?
so the drive behind that was, one, I wanted to, use this chip that I was using. But the other thing is like having some knowledge under the hood. A lot of people told me, oh, just use the IDE, which I totally agree is the right solution. And if I was doing it for work, would be the solution. But I always call it like the 2 a.m. problem. What happens when it's 2 a.m. and something's not working, and I'm like, okay, I'll just go look the next level down under the hood, and I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on here, because so then I started learning how GCC was working. I was like, oh, okay, well, GCC is a program, it's like basically like an executable. Obviously it's not, but it's like, it's basically I'm passing a file to this program, and then it's using that to then parse all the software that I've written and links it all together, and then it creates an output file. And like basically it's just seeing how everything's put together under the hood, so that when I then click a button in Visual Studio Code,
you know what it's doing. Yeah, you know
like,
it's running this command line. It's actually calling this up with all these parameter options. And I found that handy in the past, but often, like especially the problems David ran into, it's like way deeper than that. It's like bugs in GCC.
Yeah, but I'm not going to assume that's normally the case, right?
So that's not something you can fix. No, exactly.
I think that's a special case. I don't think that's not even why I was doing it. Like, I just wanted to do this as a learning thing because like I'm on my, at the end of the day, I'm on my own. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like but
you can actually see that stuff, right? You can actually see that stuff. Usually it's in the build window. I haven't used the STM Cube software, but
there's
in
a console,
the other,
sure.
But in the other, there's a console stuff where you can see it actually running the command line. It calls up GCC, and then it includes all of these dash parameters.
Yeah, there's like flags
after it.
Right. Totally.
Yeah,
You're totally
flags.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so it's there. So that's really. I don't think you actually need to go and install and build all these things separately to get that benefit of peeping under the hood, so to speak.
I totally agree. It might not be good for other people, but for me, it was very beneficial. Okay. And it was a confidence thing too. It was like, I want to know how this happens so that then, so like what I always think about too with like IDEs, specifically Eclipse. When I think about like you right click on a project, you go to properties, and then it's just like tabs on tabs on tabs of like, GCC compiler, let's look at all the options. And then it's like 16 more tabs, and it's like, what the hell is all this stuff? And like just getting a little bit of, I'm not going to know what everything does, and I don't need to know what everything does. Usually the default's fine, but I would be watching these tutorial videos on YouTube, and like they would sometimes even speed it up, and they'd just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna like change the settings. Click, 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 click." What did you just do? Like if I have one thing wrong, it's not gonna work. Like I need. So I'm like slowing it down to like 4 frames a second to try and watch this thing. And it's like
that's great.
And so like having that again, a little bit of that confidence, it really helped me. It might not. There was a lot of struggle in there too, but now I kind of I don't know. It helped a lot. I'll do a callback too. So when Jason Kreidner and Robert Nelson were on the show, the BeagleBoard guys, Robert's at DigiKey, but he works on a lot of the compilation stuff. You can actually hear me mid-episode, kind of like the light bulb comes on. Because like, and this is not like a long time ago. This is like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just something about like, I had never really understood how compilers were working and how Linux was built and like a lot of that stuff. And so I don't know, like something I remember specifically recording with them and just being like, holy crap, I don't get any of this stuff. And that kind of started me down this path. And like, it's important to know. You need to know what's going on. And, and you and I have gone back and forth too. We've talked about like, oh, do you need to know all of the computer architecture that's happening underneath the hood? Well, maybe not all of it, but, I've come more back towards the knowing some of it sure as hell helps. You don't need to know how an ALU works on every single instruction cycle, but, knowing that there is an ALU and knowing what memory is and how it's all put together. Like, that stuff, that has been impacting me every single day since I've been doing firmware stuff. And it's part of my job now, so it's important. It's important stuff. And, I can, like, I don't know, like I said before, I don't have anyone I can go to otherwise. Like I can pay someone else, or I can, beg it and steal and borrow. And, there's some from very nice people on, the forums and the Twitter and similar stuff. And I'm very appreciative to all of them. But when it's 2 a.m. and everyone's asleep, what do I do? Like, and I need to be self-reliant, I guess, at least in most places.
Murphy's going to ensure that
Exactly.
that the fault that you're going to have is just beyond your knowledge base.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless of how much you
Yeah.
delve under the hood.
Yeah, and I talked about it, I think, on here before, but I'm a thrasher, right? So, when something goes wrong, I'm like, I'll change everything, and I'm trying to get better at this, but like, being like measured and using GitHub and like, tracking changes, running small experiments, like this is all stuff that I'm trying to get better at. Just because.
Yeah, no, I will thrash. Like if I've had compiler issues in the past, and I will literally just like I'll rewrite things until it works.
Yeah.
Until I avoid that issue, and I go right. I'm not going to investigate why it failed because, quite frankly, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I just got to get on with it.
You're just going to try stuff, right? And
so,
that is
I'm just going to try stuff until it works.
Almost never the right option, right? But it happens.
Well, yeah, but I've found it's actually a very productive way to go because in most instances I've been able to get around the problem. I've been able to get around it and get back onto work. Get back onto finishing the project.
I mean,
and sometimes if you're on a time-constrained project, you can't spend the time to understand the problem.
No, okay, yeah, you're right.
I'm not saying it's a good thing, but sometimes you just do not have the time to understand it properly. You just need a workaround.
Yes, no, I agree with that.
Get on with the job.
I'm saying that most of the times when I do, and this might be that your experience has allowed you to thrash a little bit more effectively than me, but like when I'm thrashing, I break stuff. You know what I mean? Like
right? Okay, no, I usually don't. I'm rewriting it in a different way, or I suspect that this thing may be and sometimes it's obvious. Like you'll add some routine or something like that, and then all of a sudden something doesn't work.
Yeah,
and you go, well, geez, okay, well I don't know why.
Yeah.
So I'll write it a different way, and it just and it just magically works. So
okay, that's not what thrashing in my mind. Thrashing in my mind is like, I'll change this variable. Nope, didn't work. I'll change this variable. No, it didn't work, and I didn't change the last variable back.
Are you talking at the register level when you're trying to get some peripheral on a micro working or something? God, no. No, just read the data sheet. No, it's that's where you don't thrash. That's where you go into the data sheet and you read it. But sometimes the data sheet's wrong.
Yeah, we talked about that last time.
It's bloody wrong.
Yeah. Again, that is the exception.
And you've got to figure that out.
Yeah, that is.
Right? No, I have encountered that half a dozen times probably.
Out of how many total times?
Been wrong.
What is give me a percentage? That's the.
Oh, no, it'd be small percentage. It'd be
1%.
It'd only be 1%. Yeah. It'd be a small amount of time.
I think that's the other problem is that I crowdsource a lot of help and people that are suggestions and advice, and you got to be careful with that, of course. But people are very generous with their time and their suggestions and stuff like that, and. Sometimes it's like you gotta, sometimes people go to the most complicated thing, right? Oh, well, maybe it's, just to use the example, I'm not saying this is normally, but like maybe it's the compiler. It's probably not the compiler. You better check off every single thing on your list.
Exactly.
PEBCAC, and then like 100 down the list, maybe it's the compiler,
And did we talk about it? David did a video on that.
Oh, yeah?
Like he did a video saying, I found another GCC compiler bug. And then within minutes of the upload, dozens of people said, nope, it's your code.
Yeah. No, I think that's natural though too. Once you have this error, then you think it's, we all have these libraries of like debugging and troubleshooting. And it's like, oh, well, this one time I moved the cable and the cable was, it was something, that was shorting out or something. But it's like, you got to go through your mental like library of everything that's gone wrong. And you suspect it. I know that's at least how I operate. And sometimes that can throw some red herrings,
See, for me, like I don't think I've ever encountered a compiler bug. I don't think.
I wouldn't even know how to look. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, no. So like that's not something that I would even consider because I haven't, as you said, like it's almost certainly not the compiler because hundreds of thousands of other people use it, right? So the fact that you found something that somebody else like
I am not special. I am
Yep.
I'm the all singing, all dancing crap of the world, or whatever that is from Fight Club.
But I've encountered this in tons of stuff. Not only data sheets and things like that, but shipping cart software I've talked about before. And I found, well, why doesn't it work with this country that I'm trying to send ship to? It's because there's a bug not a bug in the system, but they haven't added support for that country yet. It's like I'm the first one who's encountered this because I'm the first one who's shipped to the Solomon Islands or something, It's like, it's ridiculous. But, sometimes that does happen.
Yeah. Actually, there was a tweet that I saw last week. It says, note to self, try a different USB-C cable before spending hours looking for why the board doesn't enumerate. That was Conrad Beckman. Like, same kind of thing, it's probably, the cable is a very common thing. The power not being on, very common, and it's hard to, you and I have talked about, lists and similar things like that before. Even having a list, like a perfect checklist, it's just some of it, you can't list every potential issue, or if you did, it would take hours and hours to.
Oh, it's not, it's just not possible. Yeah. There's so many permutations.
Yeah. AI, Dave, that's what we need. We need AI.
Oh, God. No, and we don't. Well, I don't know. Quite a few people have emailed me about this. I know where you segue into.
Yeah. Oh, about the...
Did you intend to segue?
Yeah, soft intention. Yeah.
A soft segue. There's a new deep learning artificial intelligence wank PCB routing AI software, which, well, is nothing new because people have been talking about, our new thing does AI and all that sort of stuff 30 years ago. And I don't know, you upload, I think it only supports KiCad, does it? I'm not sure what file format it supports.
So it uses...
What's the name of it?
Deep PCB.
Deeppcb.com, is it? Or?
Yeah. .ai.
Deep.ai,
yeah, it's an extension.
And you can upload your KiCad file and it'll magically auto route it for you. Yeah, well, everyone's been saying that for 30 years. So,
right. I think it's more like three layout engineers in a trench coat kind of thing.
Right. So you think secretly behind
this is not
three...
just no, I was suggesting this idea, but of course, why wouldn't you just have it? First off, it says 24 hours, right? If you're going to have a layout tool, it's not going to take 24 hours to do this kind of thing. So it's just... This is probably just someone who's floating an idea, and then, people like this. I'll go develop it when it's done.
No. Look, I've used auto routers in the professional field.
That's right.
Actually, in anger, and they have been useful. But in my experience, and the experience of most people who have used them, is that on a complex board where it's worth using them on, as you said, like just a regular board, you could lay it out in a day. So what's the point uploading it to a thing, right? Any decent, simple Arduino-y size board you can lay out in a day. It's not a problem, or hours, right?
Right.
So, it's not... And then you're going to have to tweak it anyway.
Right. Yep.
You're going to have to tweak things anyway.
Right.
It's not like it's just going to be magically done.
If you go up in complexity, you should either be doing it yourself or, maybe hiring someone else that might do it. But
when you go up in complexity, this is where auto routers become really useful. But it takes more time to set up and constrain the auto router. You can't just go auto route the entire board. Right. I've got this 10-layer motherboard.
Yeah, right.
Right? This 10-layer PC motherboard. Or 12, 15-layer motherboard or whatever, 16. And you can't just go bam and it's done, right? This is ridiculous. This is not how auto routers work. They're designed for specific... You spend more time setting it up than actually running the auto router.
Right. Well, so last week...
That's how it works.
I should mention, last week we had Craig on, and Craig works on auto routers, and, so, he was a very good and strong case, I think, for him. And the thing that he talked about in the future, which I am totally into, is a kind of joint model where you're going to run a simulation, you might tweak a little bit, or you run an auto route, you tweak the parameters. It's more interactive and kind of, iterative, really, I think. Someone else had brought this up, and they're like, yeah, well, the same, I think it was in person too, I forget who it was, but they said, people were saying this 20, 30 years ago about compilers too. Oh, I can always write, I can write assembly better than the compiler can do, so I'm just going to use assembly forever. Well, they were wrong, and of course, I sell a T-shirt, never trust the auto router. I'm going to trust an auto router at some point. It's on the way. It's just not there yet, and it's maybe this AI type thing is part of it, but probably more like what Craig was talking about, and the iterative and generative design type stuff is what we're going to start playing with. And as soon as in KiCad, I might try it out.
Yeah, I might try and do a video trying it out. You know, I'll get some advanced board. You know, I'll pull some open source board from somewhere.
Yep.
And
shuffle it up and
upload.
See it. Yeah, see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
See what happens.
That's great. I mean, like,
so
I'm not closed off to it, but I don't think this is it.
Yep.
I don't think this is the answer. But there's probably
no.
a similar answer in the future.
Everyone claims their one's the best and it's magic, and like, you know, I've been hearing this shit for 30 years.
Yeah,
like,
right.
don't, you know,
Yep.
like, and everyone, you know, but this is a new marketing thing to some people. Some people have not. There's now an auto router that uses artificial intelligence. Oh my goodness,
Right.
it's going to work magically.
The new AI auto router, just add salt. You add salt liberally to all opinions about it.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Speaking of opinions.
Well, you don't have any of those.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What's up?
I'm about to give one.
Okay.
After this, I'm going to start recording a video. It's a often requested video. It's not going to be as broad because it can't possibly be as some people are hoping for, but it will be a textbook review.
Oh, interesting.
As in electronics textbook review. So I'm going to do a shootout between 4 different electronics textbooks. That's a
great idea.
Give my opinion.
Yeah.
The problem is that everyone keeps every week I get an email from a beginner. Which textbook do you recommend?
Yeah.
Which one's the best? It's like there's no such thing.
There is no such thing, but I have a one that I've stopped recommending, and I usually try and go
why
against it.
Why would you recommend one?
I don't
and then
think
stop?
the Art of Electronics is the right starting textbook.
No, it is not. No, of course not. No,
But
you've always been in error if you've been recommending that as a starting textbook.
Yeah,
It's a reference textbook. In fact, last night I read the intro to the Art of Electronics Edition 3, and they say, no, it's not a textbook, and no, it's not a reference manual, but it's both.
Yeah, it's something in between.
So it's kind of, it's quasi in between. And in my hot little hands right now, I have the new X chapters. It's unreleased. I actually have it.
Nice.
It's got publishing date 2020. It's not 2020 yet, but I have one.
It's not in Australia. I know it's always 2020 there sooner. So
it does pay to know people. I've got it. And the X chapters, it is real. It does exist. So you can pre-order on Amazon.
What's the difference?
And,
I don't know what the X chapters are.
Oh, the X chapters is more advanced stuff that they couldn't put in, more in-depth practical stuff that they couldn't fit into the already 1,200 page Art of Electronics, right?
Oh, so it's not the workbook. It's actually like added chapters.
Oh no!
Okay.
This is like expanded chapters. So chapter 1 is real world passive components, right? So they talk about PCB trace resistance, current carrying capacity, capacitance, transmission line impedance, cable configuration, skin effect of cables, temperature coefficients of resistors, and how self-inductance, self-capacitance of resistors, all that practical stuff.
Well, no, so that's a great example. So like skin effect, right? That is a super important topic to talk about, but man, when do you bring it up? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like you wouldn't tell that to a beginner. You'd be like, and I know that is not targeted at a beginner, but like everything that's in every textbook, it's so hard to think about where you actually start. And even so, like, definitely not the Art of Electronics, because it's more of a compendium and it's like trying to review all these different things. But like,
it's a nice reference book. Like anyone who's into electronics design should have the Art of Electronics.
Sure. Yes,
right?
I totally agree.
It is not a beginning text.
Right. But the other problem is that the textbooks then, right? So not the Art of Electronics, but then the textbooks, and they're like, let's talk about Ohm's law. And it's like, okay, yeah. But then it's math. Let's talk about math. We definitely want to do lots and lots of math, because the people that are writing textbooks are professors. And it's like, all right, kind of fine. But like, then it's dryness and it's about resistors for a chapter. And Dave, there's got to be a better way, man. Like, I don't know what it is.
Well, this is the interesting thing, right? The 4 books that I'm reviewing are 1,000-page textbooks, right? They're industry standard textbooks, popular textbooks that are in university classes and stuff like that. but none of them have anything about resistors, capacitors, and stuff like that. That's assumed knowledge. These are basically textbooks, which I'll cop a lot of flack over this because but there is no. I'm not going to say there is no, but like there's nothing that covers everything as far as I'm aware.
Right.
Like every aspect, there's nothing that covers the whole blinking lot. From go to woe. There's not. These ones just focus on actual devices. So diodes and above. So diodes, transistors, op amps, filters, all the practical circuit elements. But they completely skip all of your passive, they don't tell you what voltage is. They don't tell you what current is. Yeah, they don't tell you resistors and capacitors. They might have like a couple of pages right at the start for tokenism, right? But it's not that. It's not going to tell you about, DC superposition theorem. It's not going to talk about, complex numbers and AC impedance. And, it's not going to go into all that sort of stuff, right? It's it's not going to go into all your AC theory and all that sort of stuff. It's certainly not going to go into control theory and things like that.
So like even a KCL, KVL, like that's skipping those too?
No, I don't even think they're in there.
Really?
No.
What level of books are these?
Yeah.
These are like graduate books?
These are university reference textbooks. I'm talking Floyd, Malvino, Smith, right? All of the the major books you'd get in almost any university electronics course.
Mine
it's because
sucks.
they have a focus.
Yeah.
They have a focus on just the components and circuit topology, and that's it, right? That you want something else, you go buy another book if you want to learn, doing mesh analysis and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. That's the kind of books that I started. I started with mesh analysis and
It's I love that. It's good fun. I've done a video on that.
It's not a bad topic, but it's a bad topic to start with. That's really what I get to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
And so like usually when I tell people, I think like the Make Guide to Electronics is like a great place to start. That's usually where I tell people like that kind of thing, Forrest Mims, something project-based, something where it's like get hands-on with no one is surprised by this response from me, but get hands-on with a resistor and okay, say you only have paper. You only have paper, and you definitely are going to be learning in an academic context. Show what a pull-up resistor is before you show what a transistor is. You know what I mean? Like there's some more practical examples that could be in there that show math and like explain why you need these things. And it just feels like a lot of these books don't do it. And I know someone's gonna say, "Oh, Chris, you should write them." I'm not writing a book. No. Dave will write a book first.
No thanks.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. It's just, it's a hard thing to do. So all of you listening who are beginners, we love you. Keep fighting the good fight. Like Dave and I still learn a lot too. It sucks to start somewhere, but just start somewhere, LEDs are usually the place I tell people to start.
Well, that's going to have to be a separate video because this is a video between the shootout between 4 university circuit textbooks.
How did you source these? Did you get suggestions?
Oh, well, no. Like, I'm a Floyd man, right? So I learned on Floyd, right? So Floyd's one of the obvious ones, and Smith and Serrata's another one, and Malvino, these are ones I've heard of, but I've never used my... Okay. Yeah. Right.
So, that's another thing. I think there's a lot of regionalism and stuff like that, too.
Which one did you use?
Dave, I couldn't tell you if it paid me $100 right now.
Really?
I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, I know the look of it. I know the look of it, but I couldn't remember the name.
Right. Okay.
I know a lot of people do Cedra and Smith, but that's on the actual, that's the transistor level, right?
That's the one I'm doing, Cedra and Smith.
Oh, I thought you said a different Smith. Okay.
No.
I think you said
Cedra
Smith and someone else.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Cedra and Smith I know that one.
Yep.
You're a Floyd man. Well, I think that's a great topic. It sounds a little drier at first, but I think that oh,
it's going to be a completely dry and boring video, yeah.
I mean, but I think that talking about like what is first, because it's hard when you're a beginner too, thinking about like what you're presented with. You're coming to this field that is everything from iPhones to a 5mm LED that you're holding in your hand, and it's like...
it's insanely expensive. Yeah. I've been doing it for 40 plus years, and there's more things I don't know than things I do know.
Right, yep.
Orders of magnitude more things I don't know than I do know.
40 years, damn.
That I just haven't encountered before, that I might have heard of in passing, but I don't know jack about.
40 years, really? That means you've got 25 years on me. That's crazy. I mean, because I didn't do any electronics as a kid, But
Right.
Damn. Well,
Yep.
That explains some
Yeah.
of it, folks.
Yeah. When I was a boy,
That's right. Yeah.
right? It's a long time,
Yeah.
and there's still, people think, oh, they do the university course and they're going to know everything. Bullshit,
Yeah.
man. Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. So anyway, yeah, textbook shootout. But this is not for beginners, so I'm going to cop a lot of flack for that.
Yeah,
well, tough titties. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you can always go back, collect all the beginner books, and then ask people for their recommendations.
I'll have to ask specifically. Look, what are the beginner books? Because I don't think you're going to get one that goes from complete beginner, like practical stuff that you're talking about, and then covers all the stuff that a Smith and Sedger or a Floyd covers as well. It's already 1,200, 1,000 pages. Each one of these is 1,000 pages, and it just covers diodes, transistors, op amps, filters, and other circuit topology stuff.
Yep.
And it's 1,000 pages just covering these components, right? It's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so you can't possibly, and these are all important stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I should say that too.
Everything in there is important aspect of electronics.
I'm always very it sounds like I'm very anti-math, but I'm just anti-math at the beginning, And some people like starting with math. They think like that. They think in equations, that kind of thing, and that's just not me, and that's fine, whatever. But damn, it is so necessary, to have a grasp on that and to have, to understand the math from the actual ability to calculate things and stuff like that. But I always like it from the mental models too, being able to understand derivative relationships and stuff like that. But
no, you won't find in these textbooks, you will not find Maxwell's equations and all that advanced stuff, right? Same as Art of Electronics. You will not find anything beyond basic math in Art of Electronics and in these books as well. Right? There are no integrals. There's no differential calculus, right? There's none of that stuff, right? Especially, and there's no, advanced physics and, Maxwell type theory, right? It doesn't go into that. This is just, basic circuit level stuff, circuit design level, sort of like abstract circuit design component level and then component level and above. They're not going to go into detail of, there might be like a page or two of how, diodes are PN, transistors are, the physical construction, the PNP doping and all that sort of stuff, right? All that sort of, but you can get entire textbooks on that.
Right.
Aspect.
I took a semiconductor engineering class, and it was and the physics of semiconductors or something like that. It was right.
Yeah,
what is the doping depth level that as you inject boron into it and blah blah blah. So
all that sort of stuff. And what you're talking about, the practical, the real beginner stuff. Here's the pull-up resistors, and here's blinker LED and all that sort of stuff. You can have a 500-page book just doing that, and you still won't even get into stuff that's covered in these 1,000-page books that I'm going to review here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. It's just crazy. You can do a 500-page Arduino book.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to.
Nice.
Just doing all the basics.
Former guest Jeremy Blum.
Jeremy Blum. Hasn't he got a new version of it or something?
He does.
And it's being re-released or something. And I don't know how big it is. I don't think it's it's not 500 pages.
It's like
100
18, 20 projects or something like that. So probably
something like that.
Pages.
It takes you through projects and
And there's a jacket quote from yours truly on there. So.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know that.
Yep.
All right. There you go.
Me and Brie Pettis. I didn't know that. I just looked at it.
So the three of us, is it? I have got quotes on the back.
You do not have a quote on there. No, it's me.
Oh, sorry.
So I said yours truly. That's yours.
Oh, sorry.
Yours truly.
Right. I thought you were referring. Yeah. Yes.
So me and Alicia Gibb, who's
right.
Yeah, and then Brie Pettis.
Got it. Yeah. That's why I don't remember doing a quote.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's all we got time for this week.
Yeah, everything else, people can sign up for our mailing list or IRC channel or Discord or Discourse or Slack or what else we got? BB.
Are we going to do something analysing the results from our survey?
Oh, yeah, I sent those. I'll have to send those to you again. But yes, we do have... we have some.
Well, I've got the survey results, but there's no graphs.
Oh, there's graphs if you click on a button. Yeah, there's some great. There's actually no. This is an interesting one. Real quick, let me send you the link. So what's interesting about it this year is I asked a different question, which was how long have you been working on electronics, and then how long have you worked on them professionally? I think that's what the question was.
Right.
That was a new question this year. And
That is a good one. Yep.
basically and there was a selection on professionally where it was, I have never made any money from electronics. So what that does is that shows how many people are true hobbyists, even though some of them have been, I haven't diced up all the data yet, but if you look at that, you can basically see who's a hobbyist and, has never made any money, but some of them have been working in electronics for like 35, 40 years, which is awesome.
Yeah, of course.
And let me see if I can send this to Dave real quick. I don't know if that's going to work. But yeah, we'll post all the results. We have a lot of people. Let's see. So who started listening to Amp Hour in 20?
Link doesn't work. Resource unavailable.
Okay.
Oh well. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So some of you in 2010, 7.4% of you started listening in 2010. So that's pretty good. And so we track age groups. We track where you live, interest in electronics, working on electronics. Where you listen to the electronics, 38% of you are in the car right now. 21% of you are walking. 8.6% of you are in the lab.
One question that wasn't in there, and this was brought up on the forum, is what's your favorite episode?
Oh, that is a good question. Damn.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, well.
Yep. Didn't put it in.
Oh, well.
Yep.
We'll do this again in 2020.
It was an excellent question.
Yeah,
too.
that is definitely,
Right.
that's a great question to put in there.
To see if it gravitates, like see if there's like a top 5 or something,
Right. What is your favorite episode? The next one?
I did enjoy Chuck Peddle.
Chuck Peddle, yeah. That would be on my list.
Yep. That's,
It was a solo interview, but Tom Lee, and it's very recent too. Tom is definitely one of my recent favorites. We have had so many great guests. And if people are looking to recommend the show to other people, I usually tell them to recommend the guest episodes first. It's fun to listen to me and Dave banter about books for 20 minutes. Right. But yeah, I think that's like, send your favorite guest. If you're going to send someone an Amp Hour episode you think they might be interested, send them the Chuck Peddle episode, send them the Tom Leeb episode, send them, the Jerry Ellsworth talking about
the one that's been shared a lot is the myself and Sharia are talking about the 5G stuff. That's a lot. That's been shared a lot.
That's right. Yeah.
People go, wow, because that's really topical stuff.
It is. Yeah. Like, what the hell is 5G in the first place? And like, you guys go back and forth.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that one was great too. It's always great for me too because I get to listen to it as like a listener,
Right. Yeah.
And I guess
whereas the other ones, Chuck Peddle, like it's great if you're a vintage computer fan, but if you're not, it's like yawn worthy probably.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Like, I listen to not everyone's going to like the same stuff. You can't just say, it's a great episode.
I would always say people should give it a shot though. You
care?
never know what you might learn from someone in vintage days as someone
true.
who's doing FPGA
of course,
stuff.
But, but you can't expect everyone's going to like it. So,
100%. Oh, I know that one. Yeah. So, David, did you get the link I sent?
But it doesn't work.
Oh, it still doesn't work. Okay. Yeah. Probably because
Oh, is there a second link?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Okay.
No, it's the actual form.
Oh, okay.
It's the form itself.
All right. Well, I'll have to send it to you later.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Doesn't matter. I'm looking at the survey results now.
Anyways, thank you to everyone who does that. I will be sending out the winners' gifts before the end of the year. So that'll be some of my things calming down at the end of the year. So we'll be sending out Amp Hour notebooks and EEvie blog
That can be your hobby.
There you go. Yeah, shipping stuff is my hobby. It's very rewarding, Me and the USPS guy are tight,
Yeah, right. That brown shirt really does it for you.
That's UPS. That's UPS, Dave. USPS is blue and light blue and blue and dark blue.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. If people, thank you for everyone who did the survey. If we always forget to ask about iTunes reviews. We haven't asked for that in a while. If you're feeling generous, head on over there.
iTunes is still a thing?
It's still a thing. Yeah. And apparently it helps. It still helps keep in the rating. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we actually are, but.
I don't have any of these fruity gadgets, so.
Well, iTunes is still the main repository for all podcasts, so which is like it or hate it, it's true. We love iTunes.
But we've got every episode on our server.
That's true. Yeah, it's on Libsyn, but iTunes is the pointer to all other servers, right? So and because iTunes is like the first repository, because the most people use it, it becomes the de facto. And so same thing with like reviews. because it's the biggest center for all podcasts, then
Right.
the reviews that are on there, are going to, if you move up in the charts there, then it reaches the most new people, blah, 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 blah. So that's
Got it.
insider baseball crap, but
Okay.
all right. Well, that's all from us. Thanks again to everyone who did the survey, though. It's great stuff. And we'll catch you next week. Yeah?
Catch you next time.
See ya.